welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show, and good evening. My guest this evening is Christina White, the Executive Director of the Lyme Land Trust. Christina, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you. So, Christina, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been Executive Director for the Lyme Land Trust.
I just became the Executive Director of the Land Trust in November, so
Okay.
I'm still very new to the job. I was hired to take over from George Moore, who was the Executive Director for 3 years, or maybe 5 years. I was a board member for 3 years prior to being hired, and when I found out that he was retiring, I knew that this was the job for me, and it was meant for me. So I got the job in November. I'm still learning. It's definitely interesting. I love it. It's everything I wanted in a job.
Now, what exactly at the Lyme Land Trust do you guys do?
Well, I work with one other person, Sue Cope, who's the environmental director.
Okay.
She really handles a lot of the stewardship. We have over 100 properties that we steward, which are both easements and preserves. And with that, it takes a lot of work, both with managing our volunteers and managing the this maintenance and stewardship of all those properties. So that's what she handles. So I really do all the administration side. It's managing the things that we are required to do as far as accreditation, because we are a land trust that's accredited. I also, I want to say it's all the administration of any type of nonprofit organization. So it's meeting with lots of people, it's meeting with your board, it's meeting with the town, it's working with the town. We do work very closely with the town of Lyme. So there is just a lot of involvement with them on a regular basis. So that kind of covers it.
There you go. Now, obviously it takes a bunch of volunteers to pull together what you guys do, and typically how many volunteers does it take?
That's a tough question.
Roughly.
So roughly, I would say 50 stewards, people that help us, but then that's separate from our Tour de Lyme, which has its own set of volunteers as well. So we're always looking for volunteers. We'll never say no to anybody who wishes to volunteer for us. We're looking for all varieties of people to volunteer, for those from stewardship that wants to walk in the woods, to helping us with administration, to working with us with the Tour de Lyme.
Speaking of the Tour de Lyme, what exactly is the Tour de Lyme, and how did the idea of the Tour de Lyme get started?
Well, the Tour de Lyme is a one-day charitable ride. I should say charitable rides. We always have it in between Mother's Day and Memorial Day on a Sunday. It's our 6th year. We have 6 different rides on the road, and then we have 2 mountain bike rides. They're all based and start at Ashland Farm in Lyme. And they all go out in the morning, and then they come back, and then we have food trucks set up for lunch, and we have a live band that plays, and it turns into a really fun event for after when they're finished. Now, tell us a little bit about the courses that each group takes. So we have, the mountain bike has 2, a 26-mile, which is called the test, and it takes roughly 3 hours for the really fast people, and then 4 to 6 hours, I wouldn't say 6 hours, 4 to 5 hours, depending on how hard and where you are, and if you don't get lost. Gotcha. That's a tough one. I mean, you really have to be able to know, you really have to be in good shape to do the test. Then we have a 9-mile that goes just through Nahanda State Park. And so you leave Ashland Farm, you go through Nahanda State Park, and you just do a turn and come back to the farm. So that's one part. And then we have the road rides, which are the challenge, which is 59 miles. That leaves first thing at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have the valley. We have 2 valleys. We have a 26-mile and a 35-mile. And basically, that one is the least difficult as far as those. But if you add the 9 miles onto the valley, then it's tough, because you're in you're in the Hop Yard Road, and it's very hilly and goes up in the hills there. Then you have the classic, which is more hilly but shorter, sort of in between. And then we have a family ride that is 8 miles, and it can be tough for the kids, but it's always with the families, and we have police that protect them from when they cross. There's 2 areas that they cross, 156, and we always have police there to make sure that they're safe and that all cars have stopped so that they can cross over.
Mm-hmm. Now, during the event with the Tour de Lyme, are the roads closed, or are the roads open and operational to
The roads
traffic?
are open, but what we've done in recent years is we've borrowed a DOT sign that warns drivers that there's a ride going on.
Slow down.
And yeah, those big orange with the lights going, so we have one of those. And there's signs up everywhere in the town of Lyme that says it's May 20th. We've now done this is our 6th year. So the residents know Sunday morning that there's going to be riders on the road. It's not that busy of a time for cars driving. So we also make a point of having them leave at staggered times so that you don't have 800 riders on the road at the same time, which would be a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and what happens too is when they leave the farm, each group, it's packed, but then the fast people start going faster, and then it sort of staggers out into a long line, and then when they really start going up the hills, the slower people slow down, and so then you don't have this huge group on the road at any one time. So it's safe.
Yeah. Now, how did you guys come up with the idea of the event?
Well, so John Pritchard is our president, and he's an avid cyclist.
Gotcha.
And he rides the hills of Lyme on a regular basis. He has a crew of people that he rides with. He actually invites friends from all over the country that come once a year to ride there. And he thought, well, why not make this something that we can make money off of for our land trust? So it started, as I said, 6 years ago, and it started actually. We had it in the fields of the Lyme School, and it was about 300 people. It was sort of a rainy day, but everyone showed up that registered and had a great time. Word got out, and everyone loved it. So then it doubled the next year. We started having it at Ashland Farm. We realized that we needed to have it in a space that would provide space for parking, which the school didn't. So we have these 2 enormous fields across from the farm where people can park. And now we are up to about 800 riders that come for one day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big crew.
Now, has registration opened yet?
Yes, registration opened in February, so they're coming fast and furious. tourdelyme.org is where they can register. It's a $75 to register. You can also register at the $300 level, and you will get a specially designed jersey that we design each year for the Tour de Lyme. So this is our 6th year. It's going to be a long sleeve red, very bright and fun jersey to wear. So
cool.
Those are the choices you have. Yeah.
Very nice. And obviously, you guys couldn't do this by yourselves. Obviously, you guys are looking for volunteers.
Yes. So we actually have a pretty steadfast group that comes back every year. And there's certain volunteers that do the same thing every single year. One of the things that we have are rest stops along each of the routes so that people can stop. We actually, what we do is we provide, our local bike shops provide maintenance at all the rest stops and at Ashland Farm. So if you have a flat tire, or something's wrong with your bike, you have someone that can help you. But we also have porta potties at each of the rest stops, and then we have bananas and fig Newtons and Cliff Bars and water and so forth too, so to get them pepped up to go for the next 10 miles to the next rest stop. So, and there are people that want to be at that same rest stop every year. So I'll send out the notice saying, okay, we're looking for volunteers again, and like, oh, I'm going to do that same stop as I did last year. So. And then there are others who just want to do registration and parking, and it actually is somewhat easy for me because the same crew comes out every year. We're always looking for more people, so if you wish to volunteer, you can email me or call me. Christina.white@lymelandtrust.org. You can find all the information also on tourdelyme.org.
Okay.
Well.
And as far as obviously the routes are very well marked.
Yes. So the mountain bike one is marked with yellow flags in the woods. We have a huge group that's helping us this year, New England Mountain Bike Association of Southeast Connecticut. That's a mouthful there.
There you go.
So they're helping us with flagging the course. They also helped us with clearing trails, because when you are going to ride in the woods and you have a storm, chances are there's going to be a tree that's going to fall across your trail. So there's a lot of trail maintenance that has to happen before the ride to make sure that it actually is passable. And they've really helped us a lot. And so they actually are taking over the flagging of the course, which is going to take something like 600 flags. It's because it's 26 miles of course, right? So you need a lot of flags. And then what we also do is, for the road rides, each ride has a different color. So we'll have arrows that'll mark on the road. There's these special arrows that you can buy that you can place on the road. And then we'll have signs at certain turns to make sure people go left or right, or go this way, that way, sort of thing too. So we make sure that we don't lose them.
Exactly.
We don't want to lose anybody.
I was going to say, you probably don't want to get lost in,
no, you don't.
The hills of Lyme, because that's probably going to be no fun.
No, it won't be fun.
Would you mind hanging around for another segment?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, butt in the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steering to the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Christina White from the Lyme Land Trust. Christina, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for sticking around. So we were talking a little bit about, in the first segment, the Lyme Land Trust. Let's open up this segment, getting into a little bit more in depth of the Lyme Land Trust and maybe some trails and what you guys do. And
Sure. So the statistics-wise, we've been around for over 50 years.
All right.
It's been a volunteer group up until just recently, when we actually hired an executive director and an environmental director. So it's really been a grassroots effort, and that effort has caused more than half of the town of Lyme to be open space, which is pretty incredible. It's over 3,000 acres of protected land. So to say that a group of volunteers can do something, it says, and that's what it can say right there. So,
exactly.
So I think one of the things that's wonderful for me about working with the Lyme Land Trust is that both the town government, along with the town people, are 100% behind what we do. So I just feel really fortunate, because there isn't that battle that other towns face, other land trusts face.
Right.
And so what our goal now is, so as I mentioned earlier, with our environmental director having to maintain and manage all these properties,
Right.
We also have a lot of easements. So easements, really, what those are there's property that's not owned by the land trust, but owned by private property owners. But there are rules attached to those easements. And so, and it runs the gamut from, you can do whatever you want, but you can't build a building on it, to you can't do anything to this at all, and you must leave it as is.
Yes.
I mean, so it runs from one to the other.
Point A to point B.
So part of what we have to do is make sure that each landowner is following the rules of those easements. And it's a big job. And so we have a huge group of volunteers who go out every year to make sure that these property owners are doing what they promised to do when they took over the easements.
Right.
And then, of course, we have a lot of preserves that we actually, one of the challenges I had when I first started was to figure out which were the ones that were owned by the Lyme Land Trust and which are owned by the town, because it seems, I mean, that everything overlaps for us,
Right.
because not only as far as we have work parties that go in and clear trails,
Right.
we get the town, between the town and I and the stewardship chair, we all work together to make sure that those trails are cleared. So I just now am starting to get the handle on what we have as far as our preserves in the town, but needless to say, it's a huge network of trails to hike in. And you could hike for hours and hours every day if you wish to. We have trails that can take you down to Selden Creek, and you can have a beautiful view over the creek.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into Pleasant Valley, and you can go up to the top of that overlook, and you can see down to Tiffany Farm and beyond. Beautiful view there. You can go into a couple of our other preserves that have beaver ponds. It's just runs the gamut. It's really we're very lucky, this little piece that we have that's called the town of Lyme. So one of the things I've been really lucky, I walk my dog every day in the woods, and I
Okay.
run into people all the time from all over the state of Connecticut that are hiking in our town.
Right.
So it is a place to come for hiking.
There you go. Now, how do you figure out, you said that the town has some of the parcels or properties, and then the Lyme Land Trust has some of the parcels or properties. How do you figure out who's got what?
Well, it says
Yeah.
on the sign, for
Okay,
one
there's a
thing. I mean,
sign.
we have signs on all our
Okay.
preserves. So
All right.
every preserve has,
Okay.
we have a sign on it, we have maps. You can get any preserve in our town, you can download from the lymelandtrust.org website. So if you go onto lymelandtrust.org, and under trails, all the preserves are there, both the town preserves and our land trust preserves.
Okay.
You can even, which I have done, if you're stuck at a crossroads in the middle of the woods and you go, am I supposed to take the yellow trail or am I supposed to go straight on the blue trail? You can literally download it on your phone and look where you are, which is pretty great.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
really,
cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
So always have your phone with you for an
Right.
emergency.
Right. Of course.
So that, and it helped me. It's helped me many times that way. And you can also, we have maps. We provide maps both at the Lyme Library and at the town hall. You can also get paper maps as well, if you wish.
Wow.
And there's a map at every trailhead as
Right.
well. So you can always just take a picture of that before you head out
And I
into
was
the
going
woods.
to say, if you forget to take a picture of that and then you're in the woods and you get lost, it's like, I should have taken a picture of that map so I
right.
didn't know.
But you can download it
Right,
if you have a
exactly.
signal.
Right, exactly.
That's iffy. You never know where
Right.
you are in the town of Lyme getting a signal, but you can hope.
Exactly. You can hope.
Right.
Now, is this the only fundraiser that you guys do?
Yeah.
Is the Tour de Lyme?
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
It is. It's a huge undertaking
It
for
is.
us. We also, what we do at times when we are looking to purchase a property,
Yeah.
we'll have smaller, localized, very focused group fundraisers. So, for example, just recently we are going to be opening what's called the Thatch Preserve. And what we did was we spoke to all the neighbors that surrounded this piece of property and said, look, we think this is a really important piece of land that we should be preserving. Would you be interested in helping us purchase this property? And we got a huge positive response, because when your property abuts a land trust property or a town of Lyme property, then it's never going to get built.
Right.
So you have that privacy, you have that protection, you have that, the bucolic look of Lyme, which is what we're trying to keep.
Right. And as far as the properties and the trails go, I'm sure they have to be absolutely gorgeous, especially right now, because it's, well, I think it's spring out there.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It didn't feel like spring when I was walking it today.
No,
No.
it didn't feel like
Tomorrow,
spring.
though, right? It's
Yeah,
gonna be
tomorrow
really
and
nice for the rest of the week.
The
Right.
rest of the week.
Yep. Hopefully May 20th we'll have a beautiful sunny day.
Yes.
For the Tour de Lyme.
Yes.
That's the hope.
That is the hope.
I, as I said, I walk them year round, and I think that every preserve has its own beauty, and I'm obviously biased, but
Yeah.
no matter what time of year it is, there's this beauty that you can find in the woods. And
Yeah.
I think it's not only just the beauty that you find there, but it's peace and quiet and meditation, and you come across things. You come across turtles and lizards and newts and the occasional coyote, and you can look for fish in the brooks. I think there's so much that these preserves provide people, and it's not just the physical beauty of what it is. It's really what's a lot of what you're getting internally, which for me it's a meditative walk every time I go out there. It centers me, makes me focused, and it reminds me exactly of why I'm doing my job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we didn't talk about when we talked about the Tour de Lyme a little while ago is, and we mentioned the beautiful days and May 20th, and does the event go on weather permitting, or is it
Rain or
always?
shine.
Is it always?
It happens whether it's pouring or not pouring, because it is what I was not aware. Well, I kind of knew it was going to be a huge undertaking, but
Yeah.
the planning that you have to work with the DOT and DEEP. Our ride goes through 5 other towns, so we have to get permission from those other towns, from the town, whether it's the people that are in charge of the roads,
Right.
whether it could be the selectmen, it could be the DOP people that are for that town. It's the planning is enormous.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we have policemen there, and so that we have to, they have to get booked, so to
Right.
speak. Food trucks have to
Schedule,
get
yep.
ordered way in advance.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
just so much that has to happen that we just pray that it doesn't rain. But quite frankly, people are going to do it anyway. So,
Exactly. Has it ever rained?
it did rain that first year,
Okay.
and I didn't go because it was raining.
Because it was raining.
Yeah, and I wasn't much of a cyclist at that time. But everybody who went said it was fine. They
Yeah.
said they had a great time. It didn't matter. So I think that's pretty much how everybody feels. It's more about the whole experience than it is about riding.
Exactly. Now, what can people expect with the experience of the day?
Well, hopefully it's a beautiful sunny day.
Right. Exactly.
And you drive into Lyme, and you come up to Ashlawn Farm,
Right.
which is divided by these stone walls. You just see all these stone walls and fields.
Yes.
And you'll park across from the farm in those fields.
Right.
And then you come over, you register, and you'll get an armband that will allow you to have lunch with our food trucks when you come back.
Excellent.
We also just make sure they register so we know everybody who's there. Because we'll have a lot of times people register and then they don't come.
Yeah.
We do have people that register that same day, but we have to have them make sure they have to sign a waiver.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make sure that liability.
Just in
Though we
case.
do have the Lyme Fire Department and Lyme Ambulance are there, and there is a presence there with them, just in case they're there for us as well. So then they go out and ride their route, whichever ride they choose.
Yep.
And then they come back and have, put their bike away, and then they come back and have a great lunch and listen to some great music and have a wonderful afternoon with all of us.
And now, as far as same-day registration on location, what time does registration start?
Well, the first ride leaves at 8, so I'm sure we're probably, again, I don't have the specific details, but
Yeah,
I want to
that's
say
fine.
probably 7:30 is
Fine,
when they
yeah.
can come and register. We would prefer that they register beforehand,
Go online
because
and
it
do
does takes time
Right.
to do it when they're there. But we will accept people to, obviously we're not going to turn anybody away who wants
No.
to come and ride with us that day.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. So what else do you want to tell everybody about the Lyme Land Trust, the Tour de Lyme, and a little bit of time we have left?
A little time. Well, hopefully come and register
Yep.
for the Tour de Lyme and ride the rides, and enjoy a wonderful day out in May. Or if you don't ride a bicycle,
Right.
then come and enjoy our preserves, because there's something for everybody. There's short ones and there's long ones and everything in between.
I was going to say, how long is the longest preserve?
Oh,
With
well, we actually,
trail.
That's hard to say because they intertwine. So some you can actually go on from one preserve to another preserve to another preserve.
Okay.
And so I can't say exactly how many miles that is, but the other part, what I could basically say is,
Yep.
if you want to walk for an afternoon, you can find a preserve in Lyme to do so.
Exactly.
Yep.
And hopefully you don't get lost.
You won't get lost because there's plenty of maps everywhere.
I was I wonder if anybody has ever gotten lost.
They have.
Have they?
Yeah, and they've called 911, and our fire department has gone out and rescued them. So you will be rescued if you get lost. But let's try to avoid that. We want to avoid that
that's got to be
altogether.
pretty embarrassing, calling the 911. Where are you?
You're like, well,
I'm in the woods somewhere, but I don't know where. So
Yeah.
come find me.
yeah, it's. I would say that it has happened.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably those people who aren't well prepared. And I would say the thing to do is just make sure your phone is charged,
Yep.
and you have water with you, and have an idea of where you are when you first go and set out into those trails. And you should have a great time.
You definitely should have a great time. Well, we're about to say goodnight. So before we do, I want to thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. We'll
That
see
was
you
great.
soon.
All right, super.
On behalf of Christina White, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night, and we'll see you next time.